This is QuoteFL. QuoteFL. And you need to start with a quote you get off the internet, or a quote that you live by, maybe. It could be any quote on the internet, any quote that you think of, as long as it's school appropriate. Okay? Make sure it's school appropriate. I will be checking. So if it's in Spanish, I'll translate it, get it translated. If I'm not sure what it is, I'll Google it. Just make sure it's school appropriate. All right? And we want this quote to be inspirational or a motivational quote that means something to you. All right? So we've got that quote, and I'm going to use "We are what we repeatedly do." And I'm going to start with ActionScript 3.0. These will be shape tweens on 2 layers. So I'm going to start with layer 1, frame 1, and I'm going to put in the first part of my quote. What I want to do is take my quote and break it up into 2 or 3 pieces, okay? And then we're going to tween between the pieces. So your viewer is reading your quote as it tweens across the screen, shape tweens across the screen. And we're going to also add some imagery to it, some shape tween imagery. All right, so frame 1, layer 1, type tool. I'm over here on the type tool. I'm going to come here. And as in all of my training videos, you can pause, rewind, or fast forward, right, to get where you need to be on this training video. All right, so I'm going to click and release. I'm just going to click and release the mouse. I'm going to type the first part of my quote in. So we are, and that's a little small. So I'm going to go up here to the selection tool, and I'll see a blue box when I click on the selection tool, which means I'm out of type mode. And I'm going to hit Q because I want to resize this. So I'm going to go to a corner, edit box, and try to use as much of the width as possible so it's very noticeable and readable text. I'm going to scoot it up a little bit so I have room for my imagery, for my images below. Or I can use the bottom half of the screen and put my images at the top. It's up to you. All right, I'm going to use increments of 25 because that's about a second. And you got to decide how long is it going to take to read this first part of the quote. So mine's just 2 words. So I'm just going to use 25 frames for a pause to read. Yours might be longer. So you're going to have to decide, but do it in increments of 25. So 25 or 50, right? So I'm going to go to frame 25 and I'm going to click. And I want to copy frame 1 to frame 25 so I could read it for 1 second. So that's going to be F6, right? F6. And then I'm ready to put the second part of my message. But before that, I've got to turn this text into a shape because I want to do a shape tween at this point. So I'm going to do a Command B twice. First time it turns it into a shape. The second time it breaks the letters apart in case you want to move the letters around. That's up to you. All right, so Command B twice. Very important you do this. Can't stress this enough on this training video. You got to do the Command B twice to make sure, and that's B as in Brianna, okay? Command Brianna, okay? Command B, so that the text is now shaped. Then I'm going to go to frame 50. I'm going to do the tweening in about 25 frames, 1 second. So I'm going to go to frame 50, and I'm going to hit F7 because I want a blank frame here that I could put a new shape on. In this case, it's going to be text. It's going to be the second part of my message. So I'm just going to go click on the type tool. I'm going to come out here and click, and I'm going to type in what we. All right, that's the next part of my message. I'm going to click on the selection tool. Got my blue edit box around there. I'm going to hit Q so I can get those black edit boxes that will allow me to stretch out and enlarge my text. Okay, and I'm working on the bottom here, so I'll keep it on the bottom. And again, it has to be a shape. So I've got to do Command B twice here too. Okay. So now I've got frame 25, we are. Frame 50, what we. And in between, anywhere in between, I'm going to right click and create shape tween, just like I've done with AnQuoteFL. Okay. All right. So now on frame 50, we need to pause so that the reader can read this next part of the quote. So I'm going to go out to frame 75 because I think 1 second is enough for them to read 2 words. So I'm going to go to frame 75 and I'm going to hit F6 because I just want to copy frame 50 to frame 75. That's all I got to do there. Okay. So if I do a command return, we are what we. Okay, we are what we. All right, so I got to keep going. So I'm going to go to frame 100 now, and I want to do a tween here, so I'm going to do an F7, and now I'm going to finish my quote. This is the third part. Go to the type tool, click, and repeatedly do. Repeatedly do. And I'm going to click on the selection tool. I'm going to, I can't drag it out, right? When it's blue, I have to hit Q. That gives me those corner edit boxes. All right. And yeah, I want this down here too. Okay. And I do Command B twice. So I could tween in between that. I don't know if I did it on this. I guess I did. Just make sure you have Command B done on the frame before that too. Right click and create shape tween. Perfect. All right. The Command B's, not doing them, will mess your tweens up. They won't work if it's not a shape. And this is the biggest thing that you'll probably need to fix is that you've got to remember to do the Command B. The good thing is it'll let you know it's not working with some dots instead of a tween, and you could go in and do the Command B on the frame you need to fix it, or call me over. All right. So now I need to give pause again, put another pause in, give enough time to have the viewer read this repeatedly do. So I'm going to go out to frame 125, and I'm going to hit F6 because I want to copy. So it gives them time to read. All right. And that's my 3 parts. As you can see on the screen, I've got we are here, what we here, repeatedly do with shape tweens to transition between the 3 parts. So let's take a look and see what that looks like. Command return, we are, what we, repeatedly do. Okay? And it's going to just loop forever like that, right? All right. So I've got my quote in. Now I've got to add some imagery. And we're going to also use shape tweens on this. So I'm going to lock this layer, and I'm going to add a new layer. And I'm going to go to frame 1, and I'm going to decide what I want to put for we are. What kind of image can I think of that I could use for we are? And you decide. This is your quote. You decide what imagery you want to use. I'm going to go to the brushes, because it gives me a lot of flexibility with my artwork if I use the brush tool. And I'm just going to do this quickly so you get an idea and you can get through this training video quickly, because I think you'll understand once I get a few of these done. So we are, so I'm just going to put a picture of we. All right, there's we. Just going to put a person there. Okay, I don't know why I did that. Let's just keep it like that. We. Another face there. We. And oops. Okay, so we are. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna have it kind of hold here for a little while. You decide. You don't have to put your keyframes in sequence with your text unless it makes sense. And it might make sense to change the pictures a lot. But I'm going to go to frame 50. And I'm going to hit F6. Okay, so it's copied. So now as it transitions between we are, what we, you're going to see this image of these three faces. All right, now I want to go out to frame 75, and I'm going to hit F7, and that's going to give me a chance to now change this. So we are what we repeatedly do. So now I need some image that is for repeatedly do, right? So I could be, I'm going to have to think about that. And again, I could use the pen tool, or I could use the shape tools, and I repeatedly, I don't know. I don't have to do Command B's because these are drawings. So I'm just going to right click and create shape tween. And now I want to go to the, well actually at this point it just stays, right? So I've got a couple of images, and you could put more than one or more than two images. You got to give me at least two. All right, so now when I look at this, we are what we repeatedly do. Okay, you see what this is doing? When you're done, you want to make sure you save this, Command S, this, and we're going to call this AnQuoteFL, and make sure you're in your Documents folder and save it. And then you want to export it. When you're really done, you want to File, Export, Export Animated GIF. Make sure you turn off transparency if it's on. You got that checked there. You want to turn it off so that you have a white background or stage background, whatever your stage color is, and then click Save. And then click Save. Make sure it says QuoteFL, Save. And then you want to upload QuoteFL.gif to your animation page. Your web starts labeled. All right? Good luck. Anxious to see the results of this. All right.